And be careful that these things that we say, they have a way of having a ripple effect. You must have to understand that in the midst of all of this, God is still God.
Listen to Planet's 101.1 FM news at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. with our news in special English at 2:30 p.m., Mondays to Fridays. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, evolving around you.
Is at noon. In the news, President Muhammadu Buhari to convene Emergency Council of State meeting on Friday. INEC warned CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele says Naira crisis may disrupt polls. Supreme Court restrained CBN from implementing deadline of old Naira note validity. And on a foreign scene, Joe Biden says U.S. will act on China after balloon downing. Meanwhile, in sport, American basketballer LeBron James breaks NBA all-time points scoring records. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. Our first report this afternoon is on Nigeria's #1 citizen, President Muhammadu Buhari, who will convene on Emergency Council of State meeting on Friday to discuss the crisis bedeviling the nation, including Naira, petrol scarcity and insecurity ahead of the February 25 presidential elections. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, would be attending the meeting at 10 a.m. on Friday. Also, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Akali Baba, and INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu are expected to brief the Council on the preparations for the February 25 Presidential and National Assembly, as well as Governorship House of Assembly polls slated for March 11. The meeting will come up with significant decision to douse tension ahead of the election and avert a potential national crisis over the scarcity of new Naira notes. The National Council of State is an organ of the Nigerian government whose function include advising the executive on the policy making. On matters, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, has said that there are strong indications that the new Naira note scarcity may disrupt the elections. The chairman said this during a meeting with the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele at the CBN headquarters Abuja. He explained that many service providers to INEC had no bank accounts. He therefore solicited the support of the Apex Bank to address the concerns related to the CBN cash withdrawal policy, which had caused chaos across the country. Recall that the Apex Bank had last year pegged weekly cash withdrawals limits set for individuals and corporate organizations to about 500,000 and about 5 million, respectively. It also introduced the currency redesign policy, which involves the issuance of new 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira and 200 Naira notes last December. But explaining his concern to the CBN, Yakubu said the service providers needed to be paid fully or partly, adding that there were fears about the withdrawal limits. While responding to INEC, the CBN governor assured that cash would be made available for payments of the service providers and added that the Apex Bank would not allow itself to be used to frustrate the efforts of the electoral body. Emefiele promised that the Apex Bank would do everything possible accountable to support the 2023 elections, stressing that it has never failed Nigerians. In the meantime, the Supreme Court of Nigeria has restrained the federal government from continuing with the full implementation of the demonetized policy. 3 northern states, Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states, had in a motion filed on February 3rd, prayed the Apex Court to halt the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy. A 7-man panel of the Supreme Court, led by Justice John Okoro, in a unanimous ruling, granted an interim injunction restraining the federal government, CBN, and commercial banks from implementing the February 10 deadline for the old 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes to stop being a legal tender. The court further held that the federal government, CBN, and commercial banks must not continue with the deadline pending the determination of a notice on notice in respect of the issue of February 15. By the ruling, the new Naira notes continue to be legal tenders in Nigeria. On security, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, has disclosed that officers of the service participating in the 2023 general elections will undergo special training. Amao described the exercise as a realistic pre-induction training, adding that the training would be held for officers that would be deployed for election duties in all its units. He spoke during his meeting with branch chiefs, air officers commandant, and unit commanders held at Abuja, NAF, Abuja. These were contained in a statement today by the spokesperson for the Air Force, Air Commodore Wap Magada. Amao also urged his men to remain apolitical before, during, and after the elections. In education, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has said that it cancelled the registration of no fewer than 817 candidates that registered to sit for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and Direct Entry Examinations. The examination body said it made the decision owing to the discovery of certain infractions, such as the use of strange biometrics during the registration process. The registrar of the examination body, Professor Ishak Oloyede, who cited some of the affected cases in a statement made available to newsmen, stated that some registration officers in the affected 178 computer-based test centers added their fingerprints to complete the registration process for their candidates. The JAM boss also revealed that allowing a registration officer or any other person to add his or her finger during capturing of a candidate's biometric data could bring about impersonation in the exam, as well as give such strange persons access to change vital details, including exam center. The former vice-chancellor of the University of Ilorin, however, mentioned that about 817 affected students would be given another opportunity to re-register for the exam, with the centers bearing the cost. Yes, some Nodu market sellers in Igbesipo, Asutan local government area have lamented the enormous strain occasioned by the inability to access the new Naira notes, as well as the toll it is taking on their businesses, narrating how they have to queue for hours to withdraw money for trade. Speaking with Planet News, they also complain of little or no patronage as their customers do not have access to cash to buy from them, adding that this has caused them huge losses, just as their perishable goods end up going to waste at the end of the day.
So, temfana mi se minta mbabaga bang tongo base na gami atene mbo yandaka nyong di bunum ko bambo na kini nyambo because ko base iba ro ba re mbo
ege bo bon to mi kam ko mi arwari am bo so ta tete ayo ka uran ti ka mi u ke da go benu de mbo urana nka do den ko bo fa kamake u ka nu de mbo so ka na ndi nyamba mbo ando to mbo to mbo ka ngoro ro ka fa ro nda ari tanen ta fa bon ta yonga nambia.
Speaking further with our correspondent, the market sellers pleaded with the government to come to their aid by making the new notes available and do all it can to remedy the situation so normalcy can be restored to their businesses.
The Nam Modica can in Namia, Comi, Ufako, you are me whoop ya, a work and about or written and you are kind of young.
Ako karasin mo namin ang yung po sa nga tayo yan.
Release a couple of move on, maybe no faco. Any talk of life or I know without or move up in the country.
You're listening to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. Let's take a breather and then bring you more stories from our foreign, sports, and entertainment scenes. Do stay with us.
Healthy living begins with the choices one makes. Choosing to live healthy is the first step to healthy living. Join us Sundays 1:30 to 2 p.m. for Healthway, awareness for healthy choices.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, moving over to our foreign scene. President Joe Biden has vowed that he would not hesitate to defend United States' interests against China after he ordered the downing of a suspected surveillance balloon, but delivering his State of the Union address kept the door open to cooperation. In the annual speech to assemble lawmakers, many of whom have pressed for a hard line on China, Biden called for U.S. investment in the military, technology, and alliances to take on the country widely viewed as a chief U.S. competitor. Biden said that winning the competition with China should unite Americans. In sports, American basketballer LeBron James has finally eclipsed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the most prolific scorer in the National Basketball Association history, breaking a 39-year record that many throughout basketball believe will never be beaten. The Los Angeles Lakers star, playing in his 20th session in the NBA, passed Abdul-Jabbar's long-standing total of 38,387 points after nailing a 21-foot shot late in the third quarter against Oklahoma City Thunder. James flung his arm aloft in relief as his Crypto.com and arena erupted in wild celebration at his new record of 38,388 points. Abdul-Jabbar, sitting courtside, was among the first to congratulate James as play was interrupted to salute an iconic moment in NBA history. Still in sports, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen has broken Cristiano Ronaldo's 4-year record to become Serie A's jump king after a leap of 2.58 meters during Napoli's impressive 3-0 win away to Sebza. Osimhen achieved his incredible feat when he netted his first goal, Napoli's second of the day against Little Eagles at the Stadio Alberto Pico. On the entertainment scene, the ongoing fourth season of The Voice Nigeria has reached a captivating height in episode 7 as the knockout stage kicked off. Coach Waje's team is called to test as a team lead is tasked with the duty of saving 7 out of her 12 talents for the battle. Tegere is bailed the cut with her rendition of Andre Day's Rise Up. Her performance got her saved and a spot in the battles, while Faith Jason was up next and his reenactment of Johnny Drill's Count on You got him into the battle. Other lucky talents on Coach Waje's team who made it to the battles were David, Martins and Chika. It's been the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo, but before we go, a recap of the major stories. In the news this afternoon, we brought you reports that President Muhammadu Buhari, who will convene an emergency Council of State meeting on Friday to discuss the crisis bedeviling the nation, including Naira, petrol scarcity and insecurity ahead of February 25 presidential elections. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, has said that there are strong indications that the new Naira note scarcity may disrupt the general elections. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has restrained the federal government from continuing with the full implementation of the demonetization policy. Meanwhile, on the foreign scene, we told you that President Joe Biden has vowed that he will not hesitate to defend United States interests against China after he ordered the downing of a suspected surveillance balloon, but delivering his State of the Union address kept the door open to cooperation. In sports, we reported that American basketballer LeBron James has finally eclipsed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the most prolific scorer in the National Basketball Association history, breaking a 39-year record that many throughout basketball believe he will never be beaten. For comments and coverage of your newsworthy events, call our newsroom on 0812-770-2940. Visit our website on planet101fm.ng and follow us on Twitter at planet_101fm. Also like our Facebook page at planet101fm Uyo. The news was edited by Azaya Udo and Jane Uwa. As we end the news, election is fast approaching. Please ensure to protect your permanent voter's card from theft and unforeseen losses. As you know, it is your only access to cast your vote on election day. You do not want to be disenfranchised just when it mattered the most. I am